Do we have your assurances that it will get cleaned up?
I can't give you a timeline for that, sir. It would be something totally out of my
control.
control.
So let me ask you, what is a reasonable amount of time? Knowing that the public health is your central focus, and this has been 25 years contaminating the groundwater and air of people that I represent, how long does it take to come up with an action plan?
I don't know in this instance. I understand it's complicated, but I also understand your frustration. And why don't we just get together and figure out how you can be confident that we're moving with as much speed and as diligently as we can.
Okay. Ms. Rice has given me 10 questions that I need answered. If I submit those to you, can you have that back to this committee within the next 30 days?
I'll do the very best I can.
Okay. So let me go on a little bit further. Today we've talked about the EPA mission and how important it is. So let's look at Superfund sites. There are currently 1,164 sites on the Superfund priority list. 81% of those have been there over 20 years. 81% of them. So we've been dealing with most of those sites for over 20 years. If the EPA is very effective of cleaning up what we know are a priority, because it's a priority list, and it's toxic, many of them toxic, is it not hypocritical that we continue to pass new rules trying to do something and clean up the air and water when we have known areas that we're not cleaning up? What's the issue?
Well, I think we try to address the priorities as they come up. I don't want folks to think that Superfund sites have made no progress, that have been in the system for a long time.
I've got the records. 363 of them have come off of the list out of 1,527. So that's a batting average of 237. Even the Boston Red Sox wouldn't trade a draft pick for that.
Well, one of the challenges we face is to make sure that we take care of the immediate impacts on public health.
But you haven't done that in my district.
Well, we need to talk about that. But one of the first things we do at these Superfund sites is to ensure that they're not continuing to pose a health threat.
But you didn't do that in my district.
Long-term to clean it up.
You know, you've been briefed on mine because they've told me in Region 4 they briefed you before you were coming here today.
Well, they sent me a couple of pages.
You know that that didn't happen. Is that correct?
I know that there's been some immediate effort to take care of some vapor intrusion issues, and I think that
only in the last 60 days.
We'll work together. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, so do I have your commitment today that you will work with me and keep my office informed before you inform the WLOS or any of the others? Because I'm learning about it from the news media, and I've been working on this for 13 months. Do I have your commitment today?
We'll do our best job to have no surprises.
Do I have your commitment, yes or no?
We'll do the best job we can.
Okay, so I would take that as a no.
No, in the issue that you're referring to, it had to do with some private information.
No, it did not, Ms. McCarthy.
That was my understanding.
I know that's what they're telling you. What is private about the EPA going to do a test? It has nothing to do with tax records. It has nothing to do with health. It has to do with our actions. There's no constitutional right to privacy for that, Ms. McCarthy.
We do everything we can to not surprise the folks that
well,
represent
I would
these
disagree with you. So
I
let me go on a little bit further.
Let me tell you, we'll do better.
Okay.
I mean, I will work hard to do better. I don't want surprises because I know this is an issue.
Well, it will continue to come up until we get it cleaned up.
Okay.
Okay. So let me go back to the public minds that Mr. Bentivolio brought up. He brought up this thing about Pebble Mine.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
In terms of, it sounds like we have another missing hard drive. Is that correct, Ms. McCarthy?
I do not know whether that's the case.
Does your counsel behind you, I think he's shaking his head yes. Do we have a missing hard drive?
Missing?
You just turn over.
Missing? We do. I don't believe this is a missing hard drive issue. There's a challenge getting access to the data.
So is it a crushed hard drive? What does your counsel tell you? I mean, you brought your counsel here. I assume he's here to help you.
We're having trouble getting the data off of it, and we're trying other sources to actually supplement that.
So do you believe you can get the data?
We're increasingly getting information in different ways, and we're taking a look at it.
All right. So the Federal Records Act came up yesterday in a hearing.
Yes.
And I noticed it didn't get brought up today. but it looks like the Federal Records Act has been violated by the EPA. Did the gentleman that was involved from Alaska, did he print out his emails?
That's not required, sir. We have
Did he preserve his emails? That is required by the Federal Records Act.
I can't know where the failure occurred. We are talking about a series of emails where it's not one particular incident. It's an individual that's located in the Kenai Peninsula.
So you're saying you can't collect stuff because it's a long ways away?
No, I'm just saying that we're challenged in terms of trying to figure out where those small failures might have occurred and what caused them to occur. But we've produced a lot of information. These are pretty
understand.
old
I heard
documents.
very similar testimony yesterday that a lot of documents had been produced. Have you gave me a great answer to a question I didn't ask.
Okay, what's your question?
My question is, were all his emails preserved according to the Federal Records Act? Were they all preserved, or was a law violated?
Originally, you asked me if he preserved them. That's what I was referring to.
Were they all preserved?
I think we have notified the appropriate authorities that we may have some emails that we cannot produce that we should have kept. And we've notified that.
I'm not aware
that you whether we can recover all of these or not.
So did you notify the National Archives?
Yes, we did.
When did you do that?
Yesterday.
Yeah, after the hearing.
Well, it became clear that
So yesterday it became clear that you didn't have email.
Actually, no. We informed the committee when we identified this problem, and we kept them abreast. And I'm, in the end, not sure whether or not we won't recover all of it. The question I understood you might ask was whether we've already identified, and we did, and we are where I think we need to be, but I'm still hoping that we recover all those emails. And this is not a broad swath of emails over a series of years. These are very selective failures that we haven't yet understood why those records weren't kept, but it appears that people did what they were supposed to do.
Okay. So yesterday you informed the National Archivists.
That is correct.
The Federal Record Act actually requires that you would notify them at the time that you noticed that you have a problem. So it was either that you violated the law, or today or yesterday you notified them because you saw it on a hearing and you said, oops.
No, we notified them without telling them that we have confirmed that there is a problem, but there is a suspicion that we may not be able to locate all of them, and we've properly identified that information.
And that happened yesterday?
It did.
Wow. Okay. Let me go on a little bit further. Really, as we start to look at this, you do know that the IG has an investigation looking into all of this. All
yes.
Right. And you also know that we have, the committee has been asking for over 2 years for these documents. Many of the documents, requesting additional during the subpoenas, investigation during that.
We actually have complied with some earlier requests for information, and we continue to respond as the committee looks for additional information.
Okay. Are you aware that, with the EPA, with regards to a recommended 404 action,
yes,
kind of the preemptive 404 veto, are you aware that there might have been some collusion that was going on?
I am aware that people have expressed concern about that, and it has been referred to the Inspector General. And
does that concern you? That there might be collusion?
I have seen no evidence of it so far.
I didn't ask you that. I just said, would it concern you if there was collusion?
I'm actually happy the Inspector General is looking at this, and I'll look forward to his report when it's produced.
All right. So if you have a crushed hard drive, are you willing to produce that and give that to the committee as well?
Do we have it? We have it, right? We're happy to talk about it. Yeah, I will be happy to get back to you on that. I just want to make sure that I have this right, because the challenge we've been having is, again, that this is, we're not sure where the failure came from and what it's attributed to, but we will be happy to share whatever we have available to the committee.
All right. So it sounds like we just have a whole lot of unknowns here as it relates to Pebble Mine, right? I mean, just with all of this going back and forth and investigation, it sounds like there's just a whole lot of uncertainty.
Actually, what you've
Or are you
expressed
certain what's going to
uncertainty
happen?
about is a fish biologist who provided input into his expertise on Bristol Bay. I think the thing I want to make sure that everybody understands was he's not a decision maker in this process. He inputted into the science assessment. That's been fully peer-reviewed. We have not made any decision on Bristol Bay. We've just taken a first step, and it will be a fully engaged public process.
But he could have been one of the ones that colluded on this. In fact, there have been innuendos made that he may very well have been the one.
Which is why it's important that the Inspector General conduct their investigation and that we be mindful of the report and we take appropriate action.
Well, in light of that, then, wouldn't you think that it would be prudent to cease the 404C action at this point until we get all the facts?
Well, there is no
Are you willing to cease that 404C action until we get the facts?
No, sir. I don't see any evidence that there was collusion here. And I want to again point out that he is a fish biologist. He is not a decision maker for the agency.
Well, but collusion by a fish biologist is still collusion.
That decision is made on the basis of the science.
Yeah. All right. So let me close with this. What about the money that we're spending there on Pebble Mine? What if we took that money and we brought it over and cleaned up the CTS site? Don't you think that would be a great idea?
We all have our priorities, sir.
And CTS is mine. So with that.